Sales.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, all of this has been sold to us.
Yes. Reality is sold to us.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it really is.
Mm-hmm.
From preschool on, everything is sold to us. And I'm just talking school. School is gospel. Like what you learn in it.
Yeah.
You know, our 11-year-old comes home the other day. He's like, Dad, renewable energy is so cool. And I was like, hey, it is cool. Why? Well, because it just gets like renewed. You don't have to like dig anymore. You don't have to this and that. I'm like, all right, well, let's dig here a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, tell me why. Well, I don't know. My teacher told me. Like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad that you listened to your teacher. Now let's find out if renewable energy is good. You know, how do you make a solar panel? Let's look into it. So we look a bunch of YouTube videos up. How do you make a windmill? How much energy does it take to make that windmill? How long is the windmill going to last? How long, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. My boys still do the same thing. Like they like to watch Mark Rober.
Oh yeah.
And which is awesome. I love
Yeah,
it.
he's amazing.
He's way cool. But there's some stuff on there, you know, that they are getting exposed to things that are opinion.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about
but
here.
They are, you know, especially like the meat one with Bill Gates.
I haven't seen that one, huh?
And they're tasting, like Bill Gates is on there talking about like how bad cow farts are and stuff, basically. And so, you know, I think my kids are smart enough to kind of see through that, or at least not necessarily see through it that it's totally false, but that there's some problems with the whole, you know, biting off on that 100%.
Yeah.
And so, but there's lots of people that see that and think that it's truth and don't question it.
Yeah.
And, you know, just everything around us is sales. You look at social media, you look at driving down the road, the billboards, you look at anything, TV, YouTube, they're like, we are trying to be sold something. No matter what. And it's a new phenomenon. Like you think about even 50 years ago, you could drive down the road in your car and probably never see a sign. You might hear some commercials on the radio or something.
Yeah.
But even 50 years prior to that, there was no radio, there was no road. People weren't being sold anything. You know, they were kind of up to their free agency to decide day to day what their thoughts were and and we just don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays we are either selling or being sold.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're personally being sold, but that's a Grant Cardone thing. You heard of Grant Cardone?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, sell or be sold. So we're constantly either selling something that we have or selling ourselves or our services, our goods, our knowledge, or we're being sold. I mean, social media, you know, you're swiping through, looking at CrossFit and meat and barbecue. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I really need those smoker pellets.
Yeah.
You know, being sold all the time. And there's kind of this negative view on salesmen, but there's just been some crooks in the world, and that maybe gives salesmen kind of a bad rap. I mean, but there's crooks everywhere. Salesmen are completely necessary in this world, and you have no cap on sales.
Yeah.
You know, commission based, or if you run a business or you have some knowledge or whatever it is, if you can learn to sell it, market it, communicate well, and close, you're set.
Yeah.
I mean, we sell ourselves to our wives and our kids every single day.
Or our kids sell to us.
Man, like such great salesmen.
Yeah, and they're just they're ruthless.
Yeah.
Like I want that Nintendo Switch. No. I want that Nintendo Switch. No. I want that Nintendo. Fine, I'll give you the Nintendo Switch. Just leave me alone. You know, kind of thing. And they're ruthless salesmen.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. We need to take it, you know, and then you look as they get older, you know, I think judgment from other people and that kind of stuff kind of diminishes their drive to get what they want.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of adhere to a social norm, and some of that gets extinguished out.
Yeah.
I know for me it did.
Yeah.
You know, and sales is so hard because the generic sales when we talk about sales, everybody jumps to like a door-to-door guy or something like that. And I had, I actually did that for a summer. I went out and did that, knocked doors, selling security systems, and I hated it. I didn't like it. But looking back on it, so I didn't like that. So I kind of got a bad taste in my mouth for sales, which I can see where a lot of people get that.
Yeah.
Being on both sides of that kind of a transaction. But since then, having multiple businesses and that kind of stuff, selling is great. Like it's fun. It's fun to add value to something.
Yeah.
And give that service out to a customer and then see them appreciate that value.
Yeah.
Which is a totally different way of viewing it than my door-to-door experience. But even looking back on my door-to-door experience, it was the way I was thinking about it. It wasn't the way that I was, we were going out and being very truthful. And I know that there's people that probably aren't, that do those kind of things. But the team that we had was, really good guys and a really good team and everything. And so I look back on it and I'm like, man, it was pretty simple to be successful. It's a numbers game. You just go out, and if you're going to knock, if you want to get 2 or 3 sales today, you probably need to knock 20 or 30 doors, and pretty much guaranteed every day that I would do that, then I would get those sales. But I think it was my frame of mind and thinking when I was there. Looking back on it, I'm like, man, that was such a simple, easy system.
Yeah.
And adding good value to those people that wanted it. The hard part was the people that didn't want it saying no.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part. But if I would have focused on the value that I was giving more than the people that were telling me no, then it would have been easier to kind of have a positive experience in that, I think.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
No, I totally agree. And if it's something that you're passionate about and something that does add value, it's actually not that hard to sell.
Yeah.
You talk summer sales, the first thing that I think about is like pest control sales.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pest control is actually pretty important. If you've got pests and you need them out of your house, and they go around, they knock the doors. Now, then you just kind of have to dive into, is it better for them to come and spray it, or is it better for me to go? And, there might be some value gained or lost there. But if it's something you truly believe in and there's value there, it's not hard to sell. Someone walks into the gym and they're like, hey, doctor says that I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And I go, hey, let me tell you something. And then we start to talk about it. It's pretty easy to sell someone on the fact that you can walk and eat a little bit better. And all of a sudden their blood pressure goes down and their cholesterol goes down. It's just pretty easy. The data's there. We know it. Mm-hmm. We know what's important. We know how to do it. We know about how long it'll take. Here's all the stuff. You don't even have to come here to do it. You can just go walk.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. Now, our kids know exactly, like you were saying, they know exactly what they want. They want that Lego set.
Mm-hmm.
They need it.
And they're ruthless about it.
They just keep going. And then one track mind, and then they'll give you all the reasons why. And you're like, well, dang, you do need a Lego set.
Yeah.
It's so important for you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's we don't think of ourselves as salesmen unless you have, a job selling, but the truth is we're selling everything. I had to sell that I had all this potential to my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to do this in my life, and I'm going to provide, and I'm going to be loving, and I'm going to be this and that. Like, I had to sell it.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't sell it, she was going to say no.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully we're selling truth, and that's what we should be doing. Like, I know.
Yeah, right. We're full of crap.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of lied, I told her I had potential. I just didn't tell her it was a little bit. So we're doing it all the time. If you apply for a job, you are selling yourself.
Yeah.
To management. If you're asking for a promotion, you are selling yourself for that promotion.
Well, and I think that's the important part, is recognizing it every day in our daily lives, the things that we are selling. And a lot of times when you get that job, you're selling for your boss.
Yeah.
Like I think about some of the jobs that I've had. And it was all sales jobs. It was just whether I was selling it for myself or whether I was selling it for the company I was working for, or the person that I was working for. I think it's easier too to say, to go out and do it for somebody else.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, I'm just working for that guy, and it's, you don't have to take as much responsibility, but it's still selling. Like you look at an accountant, they're actively trying to get more customers for the business that they're working for, to come in and let them give you their services.
Yeah.
That accountant could either do that for a company that he's working for, or he could go out on his own and sell those services for himself and make as much money as he wants instead of being capped on how much money he can make.
Yeah.
Or like a realtor. And realtors maybe not the best in some of these, there's unlimited upside and potential anyway. I mean, a realtor, as much stuff as they can sell in a year, the person that puts in 80 hours a week versus 40 hours a week is going to obviously earn more, or puts more passion and value into their customers. They're going to earn more, because they're going to just have more clients,
or knows how to get the results of 80 hours out of 40 hours.
Yeah.
They've learned that. They've learned how to sell, how to close, and how to add the value.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting out and working it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to earn it.
Yeah.
But you can use that time to learn, and get more efficient.
And that's a good point too, is there's not necessarily a number of time that we sell to necessarily make our goals. It's the quality of how we sell to make our goals. There's a lot of things that we can do to shorten up the time, so that, especially now, I mean, there's so many things to leverage: social media, having good quality content, or good, if I see realtors that are like, maybe throw a few signs out and that's about it. I see other realtors that are doing walkthroughs of the houses they're selling, with, videoing it on YouTube or social media, or, they have a Facebook page that's adding value to people, telling them what the best schools are in the area or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that we can do now to really leverage our time, in selling. And, but it's cool too, because even like in real estate, somebody can sell as a realtor, or you can step outside that and say, well, I want to work for myself, which I would say a realtor is semi working for themselves anyway.
Yeah.
But you could step outside that and be a house flipper, or be a landlord or something, and sell totally on your own.
Yeah.
And not have any kind of oversight or boss or company that you're working for at all. You can start your own. And I think that's the truth in any kind of job or industry or hobby or any of it. You can either sell for somebody else, or you can step out on your own and sell for yourself. And that's kind of what we're interested in, is helping people make that transition from selling and working from somebody else to totally getting out and doing it on your own.
Yeah. Well, and I would think most people too don't think, hey, I want to start my own business, so I need to start reading sales books. I need to start reading how to close. And you don't think that. You think, well, I've got to set up an LLC, and I've got to maybe get a couple employees, and I need to get product and this and that. You got to learn how to sell that stuff. You could have any business, anything. If you don't know how to sell, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to know how to sell that product. And like we've said in past podcasts, past times when we've talked, it's getting out and failing a little bit. Figure out how to sell. Hey, knocking doors, maybe might be it. Go knock some doors and see. Hey, I've got this serrated knife that's going to help you cut the steak better.
Mm-hmm.
You want to buy it? No? Okay, cool. I knocked 500 doors and I sold 10. Okay, maybe knocking doors is not the way, or I don't know how to close.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do a YouTube ad, you do an Instagram ad, you do Facebook for the same thing. You reach 1 million people and you sell 10,000 knives. Very different.
Yeah.
You just have to get out and learn how and why and what, and know your customer too. That's one thing that is really important. And anyone who's going to start their own business, maybe before even knowing, actually, there's no maybe about it. Know your customer before you get anything set up. So it's easy for me to set something up that I could sell myself. You know, if I come across like a shoe ad and that shoe is very functional for fitness and kind of tactical type stuff or whatever, I'm very interested in that shoe. You know, so I have to look at me. Well, middle-aged, balding, semi-fit dude who wants to look better in shoes that are very functional and last and can be beat up. Well, I get it. I understand it. So, you know, maybe understand your customer. And once you do that, you can know what to sell too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people think they need to have a customer base that's billions of people. You know, they have to kind of cater to everybody so that they have the chance to sell to everybody. It actually doesn't work that well that way. I mean, there is some things that you can do. You know, there's some generic things that people sell on Amazon or whatever that work that way. But for the most part, the more specialized you can become and know, just like you're saying, know exactly who your customer is, the more successful I think people are going to be.
You're totally right. And the thing is, you could say, okay, male, female, just looking out at, you know, the broad spectrum of things. Well, I want to sell to males because I understand them. Okay, well, that's pretty broad. That's half the people on the planet. So now what? Male that likes outdoors. Okay, well, now you've maybe cut that down to a fifth of the men on the earth. That's a lot of people. You got to get that really narrowed down to a guy who likes outdoors, who fishes, fly fishing in a river, in Idaho, that's where you have
Trout,
to go. Yes.
Species, whatever. Yep.
Then it's easy to market to them. It's easy to get those key words and to find where they're going, why they're going there. It's just easier. You've got to know. And that niche, it really is the important part. Finding, or niche, or whatever people say.
I say niche,
it's a niche.
Yeah,
it's a niche. They don't know what they're talking about.
I don't get it.
Make it small. Get it very dialed in. Selling's not that hard at that point. Or you know that your product sucks because you're at that niche and everyone's like, hey, it needs to be tweaked. I won't use it like this, but I will use it like this. Okay, tweak your product. Boom, you're good to go.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, along with being a salesman, people are also looking for you to be an expert.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to be an expert on. Again, we have ways to leverage that, and there are products and things that can. I mean, it's kind of an interesting time we live in because you can find somebody that sells generic stuff. You can find somebody that sells very, very, very niche stuff. Like it's just, you know, there's everything across the board. But it seems like the people that are finding those niches, they also find more fulfillment in that too, because it's people they want to be around. But, you know, back to your fly fishing example, it's hard to be, now people can do it, but if you're talking about maybe one or two species that you become the expert on versus 12 species, you know, you're trying to hit everything and everybody. You're trying to hit saltwater and still water fishing and river fishing, all this stuff. It becomes a little bit more difficult to become an expert on all of those things and do that. Now, an easy solution to that is start with one or two and then branch out from there. When you kind of have got that dialed in, then branch out, you know, maybe add some other stuff on top of that. But it's real important to kind of know that from the get-go. We kind of, and the hard part with that is there's people you're going to turn away.
For sure.
We had, you know, right now I've got a business where we develop property. And at the beginning of this project, we sat down and really kind of figured out what is our ideal person that's going to be building a home in this property. And we had some very specific kinds of boxes to check that we, you know, this person's going to be this kind of income level, how, want to build this kind of a house, want to have these kinds of utilities along with that, and really went down the list. We found those people and they're excited about the value that property is going to bring.
Yeah.
One of and I don't necessarily see it as a failure. It's just something that goes along with it. But we've probably turned away, or other people, people have turned away, or we've turned, not necessarily we've turned people away, but just people have not met those criteria. It's not what they're looking for. And so it's probably 10-1.
Yeah.
People that are interested in it, and we're like, it's just like, sorry, that's not the criteria that you're looking for, not the criteria we're looking for. But overall, the value is appreciated more.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's good for everybody.
Yeah.
That's good for you as the individual selling the property. It's also good for the people who look at that property to go, hey, this isn't this isn't where we want to be, or this isn't where we fit.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like that is
perfectly
fine.
They would be miserable there. The other people would be miserable there.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just, it's okay. It's okay. But there's a good example of, you only need a small amount of people.
Yeah.
You don't need a ton of people. Now it depends on kind of the business and, what you're selling and price points and all of that. But as a population, here there's probably, say there's 100 people looking for real estate in this particular area.
Yeah.
Well, we probably only appealed to maybe 10 out of 100, probably less than that. And that's okay. It still has been a very successful project.
Yeah.
So you don't have to compromise to try to fit everywhere, I guess, is kind of where I'm going with that.
Well, and that makes me think too, how important it is. We chatted about a little bit, the growth mindset. It doesn't have to be competition.
Mm-hmm.
There are different realtors out there that are selling the same properties. Okay, well, one sells it, that's great, but kind of takes away from the other one. But maybe aside from real estate, there could be 2 auto body shops right next to each other, and you don't have to think of each other as competition.
Yeah.
Maybe one auto body shop is selling the fact that they're really good at restoring older vehicles, and the other one, they're really good at repairing newer vehicles that have been in a crash or whatever.
Yeah.
You can symbiotically work with each other, and it becomes much better. One refers over to the other, and the other refers over, to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And we've really tried that in every every business venture that we've done. Like let's say another gym opens up, we just call them. Hey, just want to let you guys know, we have this. This is kind of what we cater to. What are you guys going to do? Because we get people that come in and it isn't the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. I'll refer them over to anybody, like anyone else that it's going to fit them, because I want to make sure that our customers, even if they don't end up being our customers, that they're taken care of. So go over to this gym. That might work really well for you. Oh, hey, we don't have the supplements that you specifically want. There's another supplement store here in town. Go over there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of business, is when you can start to think of it and look at it, that we can all grow together, and that there's not just competition all over the place.
Yeah.
A competitive business would suck to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just wouldn't like it. I wouldn't know.
Always thinking somebody's going to stab you in the back or whatever.
Yeah. There's just someone out there that they're taking business over us. They're this and that. No. Let's work together. Life is good. And if we're thinking that way, I mean, look at the earth.
Mm-hmm.
It is providing for 7 billion people right now. Kind of.
Yeah.
There's less poverty now than ever in history. We still have a long ways to go. There's people that we need to give them the resources and the tools and help them to, get where they need to be, learn how to get where they need to be. But we're at a better place right now than we've ever been. And there's more people on the earth than there's ever been. So the earth is providing. Sound so holistic and natural and hippie right now, but the earth really does provide. It's very abundant. Everything that we have, it comes from the earth and is created and
Sure.
put together and organized. And it doesn't mean that I get it and someone else doesn't. I think we should all get it.
Yeah.
We just all need to be able to work towards it. And as an equal opportunity employer, it's equal opportunity for everybody. We just need to have the right tools. You need to know how to sell. You need to know how to close. You need to know how to ask. You need to know how to give. All of it.
Yeah. That's the fun thing with creating value is we can take something that has, say, $1,000 of value. We can do some things to it, and now maybe it's worth $5,000.
Yeah.
But we probably, the initial thing was 1,000. We took another 1,000 worth of stuff, put it together. Now it's worth 5. That created value that was not here before.
Yeah.
We think about if somebody gets $5,000 over here, it's taking from somebody getting $5,000 over here. No, it's not. It's adding $5,000 to to the whole community, to everybody that's involved in that process. It's adding value to.
Yeah.
And we have a mindset a lot of times of not of abundance, the opposite of abundance, scarcity.
Yeah.
And so we just, we think that there's that competitive thing. I had the other day, like exactly what you're talking about, working with other businesses that are similar. The other day I was looking at some properties and called a guy, and happened to be another guy that has a development company, a land development company. He's doing commercial type stuff. I'm doing more residential type stuff. We sat there and talked for like 2 hours, just, and all I really wanted was, hey, what's the price on your lots or whatever, just kind of brainstorming for ideas. Well, we sat there and talked for a couple hours and just threw ideas around back and forth.
Yeah.
Hey, what was your process like to get this done? What do you see in here? What do you think about, this company or working with that company or back and forth? And by the end of it, we're like, all right, well, let's sit down and have lunch sometime and kind of brainstorm again, and see if we can come up with a project to do together.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a contact that in the future I can probably use to my benefit, and it benefits him too. And so, it's just real interesting. Whereas a lot of people think that you're in this same industry too, I can't really talk to you about much.
You're going to take stuff away from me.
Yeah, it's not the way that it works. I haven't really been I know of a few people that kind of are that way a little bit. But by and large, most people are looking for other good people in their industry to work with.
Yeah.
And, that's the only way that you do it, is by communicating and helping each other out. So
I agree. This will ruffle maybe some people's feathers. Where is a scarcity mindset produced the most? I think it's education.
Yeah.
You have to graduate high school, which, okay, I'm for, like, everybody graduate high school. Okay. But you better graduate high school, because if you don't, there's not jobs out there for you if you don't graduate high school. And then you better go get an associate's degree, because if you don't have that, there's not going to be jobs for you. Or a bachelor's or a master's or a doctorate. You better get a double doctorate at this point, because there's just not, now it's a huge scarcity mindset. The truth is, you can learn how to be successful, and that is very separate than, say, school. Where wouldn't it be so nice if we were taught how to sell and how to symbiotically work with each other to elevate all of humanity? But instead, it's
competition's tough out there.
Competition. You got an A-. Well, that kid over there, he did extra work. He got an A+. So it's kind of interesting.
And I think there was a time and there might be in other parts of the world. I have no idea how other parts of the world work. But I think in the United States, there was a time when that kind of education worked. Yeah. Like, it worked to go and get a degree, and it mattered, and it would add value to you and stuff. Now, most of the people that are successful are not people that graduated from from college. And it almost, it's even coming out now that a lot of, with the increase in education costs and all these things, they're just selling.
That they are selling.
They are selling.
We're really good at it.
Fear. Yeah. That fear and that kind of thing. It's an industry. It's not a, it's not something that
it's not just philanthropic.
Necessary.
It's not like they're out there just,
yeah,
hey, our college is going to help elevate everybody in the world. So you should come here, and we're a nonprofit, and everyone makes equal pay and this and that. No, you've got whoever runs the university, the president that's making bank. You've got the vice president, you've got the deans, you've got, there's a hierarchy of who makes the most amount of money. And then them themselves, it's nuts. The amount of money that's in that. Harvard, Yale, Oxford, endowment funds, those endowment funds are billions, like bigger than most countries.
Yeah.
It was Malcolm Gladwell in one of his, it was called A Revisionist History. This could be a little off, but it was essentially like Harvard could plow down all of their buildings, rebuild them all, and put gold trim in all the buildings and still have a few $1 billion left over.
Yeah.
Like, it is an industry. They're really good at selling. They've sold the entire population that you must get a college education or else you will be a failure in life.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these super highly successful people that haven't gone to school. And they're even like, I would really suggest to people that you go out and you get a college degree. It's like, well, why are you telling me that? Well, a backup plan. Well, why do you need a backup plan? Well, because I've been told my whole life to do it.
Well, and I think there is some value there to learn some structure.
Yep, for sure.
And to learn some communication and some of that. But let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Let's call it, let's legitimately. It is so interesting that, and we're running into it right now, this whole student debt thing. People have gotten through college, borrowed all of this money because they've been sold these dreams of high paying jobs and great careers and safety and all of this stuff. So they go into debt for that. And then they come out the other side and it's not at all what they thought. It's not what they were sold.
Yeah.
So this could be the bad side of selling, bad side in the way that you need to be moral and good and have belief in the things that you're selling. And a lot of those people probably do have belief in the stuff that they're selling. So it's, for sure. It's hard to know where that's coming from, but the reality of it is there's a lot of people that are coming out of the other side of it and going, wait a minute, I just went $100,000 in debt.
Yeah.
And I'm making $35,000 a year and I'm going to be paying this thing off for the rest of my life. When in reality, they probably could have got a $20,000 Botech degree and been making $100,000 and had it paid off in a couple of years. And it's just, just look, I think the message is look at all angles, and look at kind of everything when you're making these decisions. There is value there, but how much value is there really for what we're paying, I guess?
Yeah.
And that's the same in any kind of situation where we're buying or selling a product, there has to be more value there that's provided than what we're giving or what the customer is giving us.
And that's a great way to look at it. I've said it before. I always want customers to receive more value than is given to us.
Yeah.
Now that might be a perceived value. If we're talking dollar for dollar, it's tough to say. Let's say you hire a business coach for $10,000. Well, people might hear 10,000. What? You spent $10,000 on a business coach? Like, yeah, but he taught me how to make 10,000 more per year. It's paid off in 1 year. And then now 10 years later, you made $90,000 because you paid that 10,000 back off. It's important to kind of know, what's being sold to you, whether it's good or bad, and being able to discern that, focusing on sales, learning communication and how to close. You kind of know if you're being sold. Someone comes and knocks on your door and they're like, hey, for $500 a month, we'll take care of all your pests. You're like, ooh, yeah, that seems like a terrible idea because I can go buy $15 worth of stuff and I can, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Same with debt. I mean, debt was popping into my mind as you were talking. There's good versus bad debt. Interestingly, we are sold bad debt easily. You apply for a credit card, you're probably going to get it. And that was easy to get. But then if you go to a bank and you say, hey, I want to borrow some money for this business, they're like, ooh, I'm going to need 20% down on that. I'm going to need this and I need this collateral. And like, wait, but this is to add value to the world. Yeah, but it's very easy to get into bad debt and it's hard to get into good debt. They're not selling good debt like they sell bad debt. So we got to be very aware of that.
Yeah. Our system has some weird things that it's set up for.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Education system, the banking system, and we could talk about that stuff
for
all
sure.
day.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to think about that stuff. And at the end of the day, it just comes to education.
Yeah.
And education isn't necessarily going to college. Education is educating ourselves and finding mentors and things like that where we can get real success information and not necessarily just, because unfortunately it's not there. Why aren't we teaching some of these principles? Like you said, why aren't we teaching selling in college? There's probably a college out there somewhere that has a course on selling.
Yeah.
But the best way is to go hang out with somebody that owns a business.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And the way that it's taught is kind of the door-to-door type way. As far as institutionally, I feel like the other way is the kind of a business owner way, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Like it's fun. All it is adding value to a product or to a service or something like that, and going and finding people that can enjoy that product and get more value from it than what you're taking from them in dollars.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Does not have to be done like everyone else either. Yeah. Just because something has worked doesn't mean that you need to do it like that. Be unique. Be you. Change it up a little bit. I know we've talked before. Like I drink way too much of this. But there's a place in Idaho Falls that when I order one with sugar-free peach, they put a peach ring over the top of it.
Yeah.
That's so little.
It's a sale.
It is a sale because I'm like, I really like that peach ring. Yeah. That's the only sugar that's in the whole thing. I ask for Diet Mountain Dew, a sugar-free peach and mango, then they stick a little sugar thing on the top. But I'm like, it costs the same as everywhere else. But they just sold me to come back to that place. And it's something so small. You don't have to do it like everybody else. And I was actually just chatting with a guy that was in here. He's eating some food and I walked in and he's like, oh, are you going to do a podcast? I'm like, yeah, but hang out. You're good. We got some time. He's like, I've got this list of business ideas. And my idea is to just bring them around to people and ask them like, what sucks about it? He's like, I'm sure that some of them are terrible business ideas. Well, maybe some of them are, but I think you could make anything on the list work.
Yeah.
It all comes down to sales. Now, if on that list is, let's go screw over a bunch of people, you're terrible and take it off your list. And he's a good guy. He wouldn't do that. If you're adding value, be you, be unique, just go out and change the world. Like you could do anything and the world changes. The butterfly effect, butterfly flaps its wings and it changes the ocean.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Like what we do, we are here on this abundant earth to get out and be abundant. That means we can receive abundance and we can also give abundance. And some natural law that I don't understand, it is hooked to giving. So as a salesman, if someone goes out and they're like, I'm going to give as much as I can this month, this year, whatever it is, I can guarantee they're going to receive more than they've given. I just said gift.
Yeah.
Which is the educational part. I dropped out of college and said gift. So
we both went to school in Idaho, so it's forgivable.
Yeah.
Forgivable. Yeah, I got it.
It's forgivable.
It's forgivable.
Yeah. But no, I truly believe, I really believe that. It just give. Like as a salesman, if you just get out and you're like, how can I help all these people? How can I give as much as possible to all my customers, to everybody, even if they're not a customer? and that stuff's going to come back to you. People will use you as their salesman. If you're selling pipe, but you're the giver,
Yeah.
I guarantee they're going to come to you over the guy that hosed them on some pipe. You like that little pun there? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it's not that hard. Like really, one example as you were talking about that I thought of on selling was when I was farming, we had, there's some, we like John Deere equipment, and there's just pretty much the same, well, now all of the John Deere dealers here in our area are owned by the same company, I think. It wasn't that way just like 6 or 7 years ago. There was kind of some that were owned by different people. And we bought our equipment from primarily the same guy.
Yeah.
And the same dealer. And the only difference was he would call us back.
Interesting.
Like that was it. Like because we wanted to buy the equipment. We needed the equipment. He had to be an expert and help us know, when that new stuff would come out or whatever, kind of what specifications were and what horsepower they were, and what would work best for the application that we were looking to do. But when it came down to it, like the guy that called us back was the guy that got the sale, and it was always the same guy. Like the other guys, it would take 2-3 weeks to get back. I had one time when we had I owned a grain harvesting company where we would go out and custom harvest grain for people. And we had a combine, something happened to it. I can't even remember now, but it broke down to the point that it would take quite a while to get fixed, like maybe a week. Well, we were crunched for time.
Yeah.
It was like a 2-month period. So a week takes out a pretty good amount of our time. And so I called our one guy, hey, I need, I'm looking to rent or buy or whatever. I just need something to be run. He's like, okay, sounds good. I called the other, called 2 guys, told them both the same thing. And this was like on a Saturday or something, or maybe Friday. Well, the other guy called me back on Saturday. Hey, I've got a combine ready to go. This is the price. Like, okay, sounds good. Bring it up. I'll come get it today. So I went and got it. Monday morning, I'm filling that up, getting ready to go combine grain. And the other guy calls, hey, I'm jumping in a combine to come and let you try out, or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, sorry, I already bought one.
Yeah.
All it was a follow-up. And that guy too would call me every couple of weeks. Hey, do you need anything? Can I bring you parts? That was it. Like it was as simple as I didn't feel like he was selling me one bit, but that's what he was doing, is he was giving good customer service.
Yeah.
But I knew when I needed something, I could call him and he would just almost immediately find an answer for me and get back to me. And he was a salesman.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him as a salesman. He was I even referred to him as a salesman. Like people are like, oh, well, who's your tractor salesman? Oh, it's Ben.
Yeah.
But I didn't see him as a salesman. I saw him as giving me good service and providing good service for me so that I could get the work done that I needed to.
That's awesome.
So I think a lot of people think they have to have that sales is the door-to-door thing or the having their face on the billboard or whatever. That's not it at all. It's just having a good relationship with the people that you are, that target market that we talked about before, those people that are probably similar to you.
Yeah.
And you get to know them and you get to become friends with them and you provide a service to them. We shouldn't even call it sales.
I know it's sad because, you even say, I didn't see him as a salesman.
Yeah.
Well, it's because we have kind of this subconscious thought that salesmen are bad in some way.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's all customer service.
Yeah.
And if you're in, well, one, we're all salesmen, but we're all customer service representatives. Even think to the ambulance, when we were working as paramedics, I don't want to talk about myself much, but I never got complaints from patients.
Yeah.
Because I'm really good at talking with people. And even if they were a difficult patient or whatever, I was just good with people.
Yeah.
Hey, ma'am, I know you're yelling at me. I'm so sorry. Like, I know you don't want me to be here, but you broke your hip. Okay. I'm so sorry. You know, just that customer service. Well, later on,
you gave her ketamine.
okay,
That's why you did good,
yeah.
good
Gave her
customer
ketamine
service.
and fentanyl. She's like, I love you. I love this. I love this. She called back over and over again.
Yeah.
No. But I mean, we did have patients that would call over again. And they're like, oh man, that last paramedic, he was a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why did you call again? Well, because I'm hurt. Okay, it sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
But then at the end, it's like, hey, thank you. Like, thank you so much. You really helped.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't get, it's not like I gave more ketamine or fentanyl than the other paramedic did. I'm just nicer than them.
Yeah.
And that transfers. It's everything. It's paramedicine. It's police. That cop was a jerk or that cop was nice. Cops can give tickets and then walk away, and that person's like, dang it, he gave me a ticket, but he was so nice.
He was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great,
Mm-hmm.
it's all customer service.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, it's customer service with your wife. You show up after a long day's work and she's also had a longer day than you home with the kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is dinner not, I'm not, why is dinner not ready? You're like, well, you just have customer service. Talk to your wife like, hey, sweetie, you've been with the kids all day long. You're amazing. What can I do for you?
Mm-hmm.
Sweetie, what can I do for you? Is going to translate back into sweetie, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
It's all customer service and sales.
Yeah. As we're going through this, I'm like thinking of all the things I need to do better.
Me too.
I'm like,
yeah, but that's
and the one, yeah.
I mean, that's why we're here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's everything.
Yeah.
So we were remodeling our house. We went to Home Depot, and we go through the line, and I'm just kind of kidding around with this a really old gentleman that had a veteran hat on, and he was working at Home Depot.
Oh,
I'm just kind of, kidding around with him a little bit. And I was like, I knew that he was older because, he's old. And I'm like, hey, sir, you know that song, One Piece at a Time by Johnny Cash? And he's like, oh yeah, I remember that song. I was like, that's what we're doing with our house. We're here one piece at a time. But this is the second time that we had come in that same day. We bought some doors and some windows, and then we went over to another place and then found out that they didn't have the door that we wanted, so we went back to Home Depot. And just that interaction with him, he puts a 10% discount on the next door.
Yeah.
And he's like, I gave you a discount on this. And I was like, well, you didn't have to do that. That was really nice of you. He went, no. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I was just being nice, just having a good conversation with a guy, and what did that do? Well, it sold to him that, hey, you know what? I should give this guy a discount.
Yeah. Should help this guy out.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm just thinking like, man, this guy's a veteran. Like, he's here working. What an amazing guy. He's an older guy that I don't know if he needs a job or not, but he's fought in a war, and I just want to make sure that I'm very nice and respectful to this guy. And he's probably thinking back like, well, that guy's very nice and respectful. So it's all customer service.
And we get, just like with the discount thing, we get so much more in life just by being nice.
Yeah.
And being good customer service. Like you said, like everybody's a customer to us, really. I mean, it goes both ways with everybody, but I've had the same thing happen lots of times. Or you talk nicely on the phone to somebody and they get you, like, you read reviews and people are like, oh, they were terrible to work with and whatever. And then I call up and just act nice. Like, hey, have a nice day. How are you? Thanks for your help. And they're great to work with. And I'm like, well, I guarantee everybody that's putting the bad reviews out there, we're being jerks.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is. And that totally goes with sales. It's just being nice to each other.
Dale Carnegie has a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
Such a great sales book. I mean, just a great customer service book, be a good person book.
Yeah.
Just learning how to talk to people. My wife is so phenomenal at talking people down. Like when they have an issue with something that we've done or whatever, she's so funny. She's like, oh, I am so sorry. If I were you, I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad if I were you. And they're like, well, I'm not that mad. And then she keeps talking to them. And, by the time it's done, most of the time they're like, it's great. It's all good. I don't even know why I called. I don't know why I complained about this. And it's just her being really good with people.
Yeah.
And then they continue to be a customer. And we have to learn from it. We go, hey, we've had 2 people call over the same issue. We need to change something. If we're going to continue to sell this, we need to change to make sure that it's a product that is adding value.
Sure.
So take everything as good, take everything as feedback, whether it's positive or negative, and fix it. Be a good person, be a good salesman. We don't have to see ourselves as salesmen. We're just all customer service representatives.
Well, and just even your example there of your wife, like that's totally what am I trying to think? Like a principle out of a sales book.
Yeah.
But it's so stupid that we have to label everything because it's just being a good person.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like she's thinking, I'm going to be so nice to this person so that they feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's just how she is. She's just a really good person. She is a really good salesman too. She, the other day, she's like, it is so hot when you're working on our house. She's like, you're just over there framing and this, that. I'm like, are you manipulating me to go work harder at our house? Because I'm there. I'm like, well, crap, I'm gonna go frame some more. You come over and take some pictures of me. And I'm like,
are you start a construction business?
Are you
now
selling me on this? Like, you're trying to get me to work harder here.
It's so true. That's where your kids learn it from.
Yeah. Well, true. And they probably do. There's probably something to that. What you just said. They watch. We sell everything. I need that. I need that gun.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need a gun, sweetie. No, we do. Here's all the reasons why we do. You want something and you have good budgetary communication with your wife, you're selling her on it.
Oh yeah.
And she's the same way back. And that's okay. It's good.
Yeah. Which moral of the story? Don't be scared of selling. Just add enough value to where you can have confidence when you are talking about your product or your business or whatever it is. And then it kind of sells itself. It's fun.
Yeah. And something I didn't know that we'd get into that we did is also be aware of what you're being sold.
Yeah.
It's okay to shop a little bit, and it's okay to know, hey, what is this person? What value are they truly adding? Because sometimes it's easy to get sold with Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff. Or hey, we've got this. We'll give you free oil changes for life. And you're like, okay, well, cool. What's the stipulation? Like, let's talk about this. Just don't be sold everything. Like, and in learning that and diving into that a little bit, we can become better sellers and know that we're truly adding value.
Yeah. I think it all comes down to value, which
I agree.
We've talked a lot about in the past as well, but it just selling good business, all of it just comes down to creating good value.
Yeah. And if you are creating value, if you're truly giving value to the world, like I actually think you said this earlier, same thing. It sells itself.
Yeah.
Because people want that. They don't want to be hosed over in any way. They want to know that you're good and you're sincere and you've got their best interest in mind, and just be a good person, add value. And I think business does come to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any like physical, like I don't know, maybe not, maybe it's all the same, but just in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, there's things that we could do in developing our business and product to make sure that we add the most value, but then in the way that we present that stuff, like some of the physical practices that we do to present our business or our product to people, do you have any like pointers? Or I don't know, maybe we've already covered them, but I'm just kind of thinking like some things to kind of hit home. And, just for me, I think it's mostly follow up.
Yeah.
Like make a great initial contact with somebody, or a lot of times it's people contacting like me if I'm selling something, but follow up. Like that's something that's so simple and such an easy practice to get into. Just get in the habit of following up with people.
I like that. And when you were asking it, I thought, tell the truth.
Yeah.
So, hey, how deep is the lava rock on that land? I don't know, but I'll find the answer. Then what you said, follow up. Perfectly fine to say, I don't know. Just tell the truth, follow up. At least in these examples, that's where you go. You're coaching a fitness class. They're like, hey, my shoulder's hurting, right here in this one spot. What do you think? I don't know. Like, you're going to be respected as a coach, as a salesman, selling yourself as a good fitness coach. You're going to be respected a lot more than, well, I'm going to give you this exercise, but I really don't know what I'm doing. Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell the truth. Follow up. Be a good person.
Yeah.
Customer service the crap out of it.
Yeah. I love it.
Sweet.
I think that's great.
Yeah, it was fun. Just fun to chat about, and
so important.
Yeah, so important.
Mhm.
It's in every part of your life. And if people just really start to pay attention, what are you being sold and what are you selling? It's all day long.
Yeah.
You're even being sold it on the road signs.
Yeah.
You're driving down the road and you're like, it says speed limit's 55 miles an hour. And I also know there's police officers that if I'm going faster than 55, they're going to enforce it. You were just sold the fact that you need to not probably go faster than 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I know that seems
all
so
around us.
weird, but it is all around us in every way.
Yep.
So be aware of it and then make it all happen.
That's right.
I like it. Okay.
I like it too.
Well, we'll chat tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good.